we're seeing these programs really want to embrace the band, right? They really want to embrace the band culture. So we have programs coming to us for, wool caps, baseball caps, jackets, quarter zips, t-shirts, all type of apparel. And it's awesome because it doesn't just say Widener, it says Widener Band, right? Like it's band specific, and it creates pride in that program. And we use team stores for it, so we'll custom design apparel. Big one right now is kind of like baseball jerseys, is a big one. So we'll create team apparel and put it up on the store.
Hey everybody, this is Tim Hinton, the Beast of the Marching Arts, and we are talking about figuring out uniforms and apparel for a brand new university college marching band. With me today, Iain Moyer's here. Iain, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, of course. We're talking about your work at Widener University, and to talk about apparel and uniforms, Vaughan Sawdon is here from G2 Performance. Vaughan, how are you?
Doing well, thank you.
Yeah, thanks so much for being here. I know you guys at G2 are doing great work with many, many groups. So Iain, you started a brand new college marching band and you had to figure out what it was going to look like as part of your brand, right?
Yeah, I think that was maybe one of the more unique things that we had. I personally sort of had to figure out, and being involved in the marching arts and marching band and drum corps and so on, like I was certainly comfortable on the musical side of things, but I knew that there was a couple other, areas to marching band, like the visual side and some of and obviously the apparel side that I had virtually no experience at, and so on. So I was charged with finding someone to design and produce our uniforms, and I had to get, when you're working with the university, you have to get like 3 different quotes and 3 different designs and so on, and choose the best one. But it became really, really apparent very, very early on that the person that I wanted to work with and the team that I wanted to work with was G2 Performance and Vaughan Sawdon as the leader of that company and so on. So I think I got Vaughan's contact info from another college band director, actually Mark Lortz at Stevenson University. And actually at the time, I think I was under the impression that Vaughan was working for a different uniform company, and so on. And so I called Vaughan and I said, hey, listen, I'm starting this marching band at Widener. I got your contact. And so on. He said, well, I'm not working for that company anymore. I'm starting a new company, G2 Performance. And he said, if you're interested, I'd love to talk to you. We're actually based in Wilmington, Delaware. And kind of a light bulb went off in my head. Wilmington, Delaware, and Chester, Pennsylvania, where Widener is located, are very, very close to each other. And I thought, wow, the opportunity to have a uniform provider like right down the street might be a real, real big advantage, particularly for somebody like myself who knows little about marching band uniforms and so on. So that's sort of how I met Vaughan. And to be honest with you, since that time, Vaughan's kind of he's sort of played a mentor and an advisor to our program. And there are people designing the music, there are people writing the drill, working with the color guard and so on. But Vaughan he's sort of the fifth Beatle of the group, as far as he's behind the scenes. And when you think about it, when the Widener band takes the field, we've got music, we've got drill, we've got visual, but the uniforms that the band uses and the apparel that we use outside of the halftime performances is as big a part of the band program as the music and the visuals. So it's been a unique partnership, obviously getting to know Vaughan over these last 5 or 6 years, and working with them, but also, as a mentor and an advisor, like, hey, we need to change this about the uniform. What do you think? And he always has really great advice. So that's sort of how the connection between Widener and G2 kind of came about.
So Vaughan, I think it's interesting designing a look for a college marching band. We just had this conversation about music a few minutes ago. On the one hand, there's really no rules. Like a college band can have any kind of style, it can have any kind of look. But on the other hand, our culture expects college bands to look a certain way. So that had to be an interesting project. How did you figure it out?
It is. I mean, one of the things when you go into it, and Ian, let me start off by saying thank you very much, by the way, for the kind words. And I would like to actually say that I view our relationship with Widener as the same. Ian has been a mentor, and I come from the apparel world. I don't come from the band world. So every day is a learning experience. I've been in the industry for over 22 years, and it is awesome because I learn something new every day. And Ian has been a great teacher, to be honest. He has taught me a significant amount about this amazing, beautiful world that we get to work in every day. And it is awesome. We get to go see his kids because, like you said, we're close by. So it is inspiring to go there. We get to see the passion that the kids have on the field, the passion that they put into practice, their spirit, and we're charged with representing that from a visual aspect, right? As you stated, Tim. So like, college band, it's very crucial to have both a practical, a psychological, a social reason, a cultural reason to create a look, right? Some of that comes from branding from the university, making sure that the colors are accurate, representing the correct, color codes, representing the correct branding imagery that the university itself wants to put out, but also really fostering the sense of unity, team membership, and creating something that the kids want to have a social emotional connection to empower them on the field. So it's about a visual aspect of it, but it is also about the functionality of the garment as well, because you want them to get into the garment and you want it to be a super suit for them. You want them to be feel superhuman when they get out on that field. So one of the ways to tackle it that we find is go to the university, actually physically visit with the university, get on campus, talk to the kids about the culture. It was a great opportunity because Ian was starting the band. So what type of culture do you want to, display? What type of culture do you want to have? Because the apparel, the visual aesthetics of that garment can help mold and shape that culture.
Absolutely.
So, it's
be critical. I mean, come on, they come marching down the street. I'm going to know who they are by what they're wearing.
And how they hold themselves, right?
Sure.
And that affects how they play. That affects how they march. So one of the things that we generally start with is Ian, what are the aspects that are important to you and to the university, right? And it was really in-depth conversations about Widener has a unique logo. It's basically a shield with a date on it, and then it's a lion as well, right? So two totally different things. One's an aggressive lion and one's a shield with a date on it, right? So how do you incorporate that into apparel? The one great thing now is, everybody in the industry is using dye sublimation. That just opens up so many doors to the creative aspect of what you can do with the apparel and how you can incorporate different things. So,
So what was the process, Ian? You guys had he obviously came to the university. You guys had a lot of conversations. How did you figure out what the band should look like?
Well, I think Vaughan asked what's important to you in this uniform, and I think one of the unique things about Widener is that it actually started out as Pennsylvania Military College, PMC, and so it was it was that for a very, very long time until the 1970s. Then became Widener College, then Widener University. So there's a big military tradition that is still a part of what Widener is about. And each year at homecoming, we have the Pennsylvania Military College alumni come back and participate and so on. So I think for me, I wanted something that reflected in the uniform, reflected a little bit of that militarist, military style, but I didn't want it to be, I wanted to have that, but also have some modernity to it, have a modern look to it. And so the uniform itself, has buttons and has things that remind you of a kind of a traditional, maybe military uniform, but through the process of dye sublimation that Vaughan was talking about, you have the Widener University shield kind of like all throughout the uniform, fading in and out. So it's a traditional looking uniform with modern techniques and a modern aesthetic. So I think we were able to maximize that. But that's kind of what the initial conversations were about. We're like, hey, what do you really want this to represent? And admittedly, those, I couldn't tell you what the line should be or where the button should be or anything like that, but they started out with an aesthetic. I wanted to have some resemblance of our military tradition that the university had prior to becoming Widener University, but also had a modern look to it that people could feel excited about wearing onto the field each time.
Yeah, so we embraced cross trim, as kind of a hail to the military aspects of the uniform. One of the other conversations that we had is it was a brand new program, and Iain was building the program. So, for example, like use of white on the upper portion of the uniform, especially on the wearer's top left, to really help the program from visual appearance look much wider and larger on the field than a darker uniform. And so we really brought light colors up to the upper body and upper portion of the uniform. So it gave the program a much larger field presence, especially for being as young as they were.
Now, wait, you said cross trim?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not sure I know what that is.
That is, back in the day, in the military days, like you would have seen like cross trim come across with like tree frills on it. It would have been bars that come across the chest.
Okay.
And like tree frills on the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, I had that on my uniform when I was in high school band way back in the day. Way back in the day. Okay, so that's just like a military thing. So that's what that's called? Those bars across? Mm-hmm. Okay, thanks for.
Yeah, no, we did it much more simplistic. Like I said, I mean, we kind of did like a hat off to it in a way. What we did is we just did 3 gold bars coming across to kind of be like, give a kind of militaristic mindset to it. But then, Iain likes to push the envelope, right? He likes to have the band, be aggressive out there and put on very, very entertaining shows. So we then, had these straight bars coming across the lower portion of the chest, and then we accented that with a nice curved line, right, to like offset that.
I think one of the unique things too, like talking about uniforms, like there's, especially when you're starting marching band, there's a lot to like on board as far as what you need to do from a uniform standpoint. It's not just the coat and the bibbers, you know what I mean? You're dealing with apparel, you're dealing with garment bags, you're dealing with raincoats, and I think Vaughan was really helpful with okay, wow, I was just thinking we were talking about uniforms. Well, actually, you need all of these things to kind of be a functioning marching band, because at some point it's going to rain and you got to put them in the raincoats, and sometimes you're going to need different types of things throughout the throughout your college experience and so on. And I think one of the projects we've done most recently is we actually have two different versions of our uniform. We have essentially our long sleeve version and our short sleeve version, and that, to be honest with you, like it was really, our students love the fact that we have that option, because let's be honest, marching band starts when it's pretty warm outside. Band camp in the middle of August, even in Pennsylvania, it's really warm, and it ends in the middle of November when it can be really, really cold. It could be snowing, and so on. So the opportunity to kind of have a long sleeve uniform and a short sleeve uniform is a big part of it. And a couple of years ago, I think it was probably right after our first game in 2021, like when it was really hot outside and the band was just dying in these long sleeve uniforms. Like, Vaughan, we need a short sleeve uniform because I can help you with that. And so we basically did a version that, unless you're looking at the sleeves, it looks exactly like the version of our long sleeve uniform, but it's short sleeve. So Vaughan was a big proponent in helping that process.
Short sleeve uniforms are really interesting, right? Because people are like, oh, I don't know, that takes away some of the formality to it. It actually, from a college perspective, it looks awesome. Because it adds a sense of flair and fun to the apparel, which is cool. And it makes it enjoyable. But it's interesting to watch college band progress, right? And we're seeing college bands, what they'll do is they'll wear their coat for the halftime and then wear like a different shirt for the stands. And it's about retention, it's about comfort, and keeping kids in the program and keeping them enjoying the experience.
So was that a second jacket, or was it was the original coat able, like, did you end up, because you wanted the short sleeve, did you have a second uniform coat made?
Yeah, that's correct. Yeah, so we have a second uniform in all of the sizes that we have our long sleeve uniform. We have a version, a short sleeve version as well. So it's been great. The last 2 years, it's okay. Hey, we're gonna wear the short sleeves this weekend, or okay, actually, we're gonna go back to the long sleeves, and it's great to have it be interchangeable, and really whatever it needs to be, because there are times it's really cold outside and the long sleeve uniform's great. Then there's times it's really hot and it's like, wow, you do not want to put on that long sleeve uniform if you don't have to. And I found that, like, G2 provides a lot of apparel for us, quarter zip jackets, compression shirts. So we wear the compression shirts underneath the uniform, no matter what version, the long sleeve or the short sleeve we're wearing. I found, like, the band was like taking off their long sleeve tops like after halftime, and we were in our compression shirts, which is fine, but it's great to keep the band in, to have them wear a short sleeve uniform and have them, nobody really knows the difference except for us. No one has really noticed, hey, that's like a different uniform, because it really looks essentially the same. So it's a nice problem to have, to be able to kind of interchangeably, go between the two of them, for sure. So.
And so, Tim, we're talking, the purpose of this is, like, setting up a brand new program, right? Like, it's kind of what we're talking about. In a really important part, whether it's any company, is having a system and helping the band have a system to manage their uniforms. That's really, really important. And I think, while we helped Widener, I think one of the things that Iain's done very, very well from the onset is he created an entire system to manage the uniforms, to distribute the uniforms, to bring the uniforms back, to size the kids. And his program's like a machine. Like, sizing is pretty easy for you now, right, Iain?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think there's two components to that. Like, having people in charge, and that was something that Vaughan advised me on. Like, this is before we even before any uniform was made for Widener. It was like, hey, you need to have somebody who's in charge of the uniforms, and they're the go-to person. And now we actually have like a uniform committee. We have somebody who's kind of the lead person on that, but we have a uniform committee of students who, that's their job during band camp. They're responsible for getting, obviously getting the uniforms set up. Then we do a sizing session. And then obviously at the end of the season, we collect all those, and they're in charge of all any maintenance or any we need to do in season and so on. But I think the other thing that, and Vaughan can certainly speak to this, one of the really, really cool things about G2 is they have the G2 app. Which is an app that you can download on your phone or device, and it's a sizing app basically. And Vaughan can talk to you about the technology of it, but basically, you put your phone on a music stand and you stand the appropriate distance away from it. You might put your hair in a ponytail or something. If you have long hair, you tuck your shirt into your pants, and it basically measures you, and it spits out what size uniform you should be. And then our uniform committee goes and gets that uniform. They try it on and so on. And it's been remarkable because I will say, that's certainly one thing. Our first uniform fitting, Vaughan came to the university and did it for us basically. And that was before we were using the app, but the app almost makes it like it really, really is foolproof as far as that's concerned. So Vaughan can certainly speak to the app, but it's been a game changer. Uniform fittings, like I think last year at band camp, it took like 3 hours to get like almost 100 people in their uniforms, short sleeve and long sleeve. So it's with the app, it makes it really, really fast.
That's pretty amazing technology.
Yeah, I mean it's technology that's been around. I mean, especially in like custom apparel for a very long time, and it's been perfected. So I mean, one of the things we do is we look outside of our industry and say like what's happening and bring it in, right? Like what's good, what applies, what doesn't. But to kind of speak back on the uniform crew, having your peers manage the uniforms, I think makes a significant difference in a program versus having staff manage the uniforms, because there is a sense of pride that bleeds through and permeates through the entire program, because their peers are the ones caring for the uniforms, are the ones managing it. And that I think makes a significant difference in a program, because then the students get empowered by each other to make sure that they take care of it correctly. Sure. That they wear it correctly, they care for it correctly, and that I think makes a world of difference in the longevity of the product, and how the product appears on the field.
Yeah, the other thing that's so big these days is that what the fabrics are that are used in uniforms, because we do so much more movement than say marching band students used to in the past. So I'm sure that's part of the equation also, is the kinds of fabrics that you're using that have that stretchability and movability.
Yes. So basically what we did when we started is we, again, like I said, we looked outside of the industry. We looked at commercial apparel, retail apparel. We looked at athletic apparel. And we said, does any of this have any application to what we're doing? And a lot of it does. Our industry has always kind of been taught for years that heavier, bigger is better. However, when we talk about performance apparel, every musician, right, they're going to get the best instrument they can to help enhance their performance. Apparel is also an instrument. It's a visual instrument. It's a functional instrument. So having the right technology, having the right fabrics, the right sewing techniques, putting certain fabrics in certain places that have function and purpose, right? Not just a visual aesthetic, will help the product last longer and help the customer be a lot more comfortable. So I'll tell you funny story. Widener's a great example. A lot of high school kids will come over and they'll come get fitted and they'll put on our bibbers, and they can sit down and tie their shoe, and to watch their face is hilarious, because they're like, and I'm like, is everything okay? And they're like, I can sit down and tie my shoe. This is amazing. Like, look, I can bend down. And that's always a unique experience to watch kids, like the first time they get into like a Widener University band uniform, and to see their joy of the comfort, and like I think that carries through their 4 years. Like that's a cool first impression.
No, it's very cool. Okay, so Vaughn, I know that you're also supplying all kinds of apparel for these band students, right? Like jackets and what they're wearing under. Like, can you talk about all that stuff and how that works?
Absolutely. Yeah, we're seeing these programs really want to embrace the band, right? They really want to embrace the band culture. So we have programs coming to us for, wool caps, baseball caps, jackets, quarter zips, t-shirts, all type of apparel. And it's awesome because it doesn't just say Widener, it says Widener Band, right? Like it's band specific, and it creates pride in that program. And we use team stores for it, so we'll custom design apparel. Big one right now is kind of like baseball jerseys, is a big one. So we'll create team apparel and put it up on the store. For a college, we're finding that it is an awesome tool to get gloves, get shoes, get other things that they need for the band, so the band director doesn't have to manage it, right? Like it used to be years ago, people would be like, all right, hey, try on a glove. All right, well, we're going to buy some smalls and some mediums and some larges and things like that. Now what we do is we actually just put everything on a store for them. In Widener's case, Ian, I think you provide the kids or students like a pair of gloves and a pair of shoes.
Yeah, correct. So yeah, essentially for Widener, the university covers all sort of like the uniform type thing. So shoes, gloves, obviously the uniform that they wear and so on. But then the students have an opportunity through the team store, and literally it's just a link that I send to the entire band during the summer and say, hey, listen, you've got 2 weeks to order all this apparel, and you need to order a quarter zip jacket, you need to order a compression shirt we're going to wear underneath the uniform, you need to order a Widener band short sleeve t-shirt and so on. And then if you want to, on top of that, there's all these other items that can be purchased, sweatshirts, drawstring backpacks, hats, and so on, that they can get as well. But it makes it really, really easy. It's not me collecting a bunch of orders and then putting that into quantities and then sending it to Vaughan. It's generated through the G2 team store, and all that information is going to them, and I'm just providing a link to get it to the students so that they can do what they need to. But it makes it a lot faster than me tallying up all the necessary apparel that we need and so on. So that's been a game changer. We started a band parent team store because our band parents were like, hey,
Brilliant.
I want a shirt that says Widener Band. And I'm like, well, those don't exist unless you're in the band. They exist now. But, when we were first starting it, you couldn't go to the Widener University bookstore and get a shirt that says Widener University Band. You can now, but when we first started, you couldn't. So started a team store for the parents because they want to wear, Widener Band apparel. When they come to the football games, they want to represent their aspect of the university. So the team store thing's been really, really simple, and it's not a new concept. People have been using it for athletic teams and cheerleading and dance teams and things like that. But it's been really, really helpful just to streamline the process for us, for sure.
Yeah, and then what the students get in return is like we'll bundle everything together. So Ian gets Widener gets a couple big boxes, and everybody's order is bundled with their name and all their items. So, Tim shows up, grabs a bundle. It's got his shoes, his gloves, all his apparel, whatever other apparel he wanted. Maybe he wanted a shirt or a hat or, other things. It's all bundled in there. And the band staff or the band students, who handle the uniforming, they don't have to manage that, right? It's just, it's very simplistic and it's very easy. Where people are adopting it for concert attire, which was something we never would have thought
Yeah, I think you should want to use it for everything. And my gosh, there's nothing worse for a band director than collecting money and trying to get a bunch of shirts. And I mean, that's just the worst. Like we'd rather be teaching music. So Vaughn, you're so close to this university where you're located. I'm sure there's a lot of pride when you are there and you see them in your creation. Like that must be great for you and your company.
It is, and it's Iain he is so kind to us. He gives us an open invitation all the time to come to practices, to come to events. If we have a new product that we're testing, or want some feedback on, it's great. We literally go right up the street and say, hey, give this a try, and get actual live feedback from performers and students. And like I said, sometimes making uniforms and managing a company, right? It can be daunting, and you have hard days. Going and watching the Widener students perform is always an uplifting event. And if we're feeling down or I'm feeling down, I'm like, I'm gonna go visit them and just spend some time and watch them practice and play, because then it reminds me of my mission and why we're here and what we're trying to do.
Yeah.
And we get to see it. Like we get to see the kids' reactions, and to watch them put the uniform on and be in it and perform. It's the coolest. I mean, it's just awesome.
Wow. So Iain, I knew that you were doing a great job of creating this brand new marching band program there at Widener, but I didn't know that you were also test subjects for new products and doing therapy for workers who need uplifts. I mean, but I mean, in all honesty, this is what music programs do. And Iain, you're doing a great job with doing that, in all the different ways that you're impacting your community.
Well, thanks so much. And again, it's been fun. Vaughan has kind of been a collaborator along in this process. And honestly, due to the proximity of, where G2 Performance is, where Widener University is, it's been a really interesting collaboration. And it spawned some really unique opportunities, I think, for both of us. And it's been a lot of fun to be able to start this journey with the marching band at Widener, and have somebody who I can trust, who's like right down the street. And hey, if I need like 10 more, gauntlets today, okay, we can get them, we can
yeah.
so on.
Don't you can't tell people that, because we can't do that for everybody.
No, that's a pretty amazing perk of having them really, really close. So Vaughan, thank you for your role in helping this university band get off the ground and be so successful. I think it's awesome, the work that you and your company have done. What do you want to say as we're closing this conversation about any of this?
What I want to say is that it is a true honor to be a part of it, and we're just a small tool and a small cog in what Iain has built. And really, Iain is the captain of the ship, and we're here to help him and take direction from our captain and help him along his journey, and help his program and his ship to get where they need to go. And I think all the credit really should be Iain's credit, because the apparel is a huge visual part of it. However, it's his vision and his leadership that has led that program to such success, and the people he's surrounded himself with, and giving those kids, the performers, such an amazing experience and success in their program. I think really the kudos should go to Iain above all, and to his kids and his program.
Well, Iain, those are some great words. You're doing a great job. I've enjoyed all these conversations. We have more to come, but thank you, Vaughan, for taking time to talk with us today. And like I said, for doing great work, making the Widener band look so good.
Thanks.
Marching Arts Education is the home of the Marching Roundtable podcast. We give you access to the top marching arts professionals through live webinars, podcasts, videos, interviews, and online coursework. With over 1,000 podcasts and hundreds of webinars and videos, there are hours of great professional development for you and your staff. Sign up for a membership to Marching Arts Education to get complete access to all webinars, videos, and podcasts, plus discounts on coursework. Many directors are using professional development funds through their school or boosters to make these resources available to their staff. Imagine what you could do with so many great new ideas from the top professionals in our activity. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and sign up for our newsletter to find out about the latest podcasts, webinars, and new content. Find all of this and sign up at marchingartseducation.com.